Matthew here from MiniWargaming.com, and in this video I want to ask you a question. The question is really basic. It's, do you like our battle reports? And I want you to be perfectly honest, because we've been experimenting with different styles of battle reports. What we used to do is just record whatever, and you hear the voices of the people that you're recording, and eventually we started adding recaps at the end of the turn so that you knew what was going on. And then we discovered that if all you do is the recaps, it is super fast to make the battle report, but then people were complaining that we didn't have enough meat in the battle reports, and so it became a bit of a challenge. And so let me go through a few different styles of battle reports, and I want you to give your opinion on how we can improve our battle reports. So the very first one, the one that we used to do a lot of, was simply just recaps. And the way that that would work is that you just play the game without the camera, and at the end of every player's turn, you turn on the camera, you kind of pan over the battlefield and showing and talking about different things that just happened throughout that turn, trying to give it as much enthusiasm as possible. These types of battle reports are very popular for one very good reason. They are easy to make. In other words, it takes very little time in your battle itself. It doesn't slow down the game hardly at all. It gives the players a bit of a break, in fact. And when you go to edit it, there's next to nothing that you have to do. If you want to be really lazy, you can just take all of the video files and just toss them together, maybe throw in an introduction, maybe an overlay, and you're done. You have a battle report that is interesting enough that people really like them. And as much as a lot of people complain about these types of battle reports get a lot of views, which is why we would do them. And so people were still watching them, and they were still learning things about the game and still being able to get some sort of level of enjoyment out of that type of battle report. The problem with that type of battle report is it doesn't really show the action of the game, which is difficult with a turn-based strategy game that's played with miniatures. It's not like watching a StarCraft battle report. I love watching StarCraft casts because you just have to watch the game. They don't have to splice out things to make it move faster, because the typical game is only 20 to 30 minutes and it's action-packed. On a turn-based game that takes typically 2 to 3 hours to play, if it's a larger one, or even 1 to 2 hours, you can't just leave the camera running, so the recap one works really well. The second type of battle report that there is what we kind of came up with. I don't say that we invented it because it's kind of a hybrid of some other things. But if you watch any of the Beat Mat Bat reps, you'll know what I'm talking about. This one, basically, you record everything that happens. The way that you record it is very important in editing. Basically, every time somebody's about to do something, you hold the camera there and you say, okay, go. You hit record, they do it, and as soon as they stop, you stop. And you just keep doing that. You end up in a normal game with about 300 to 400 little video clips that you then just put together. And I also, at the end of each turn, I do a flyover. I don't do a recap because it's all voiceovered afterwards. So basically, I then mash all those video files together, editing them a bit because otherwise it'd be too long. And then I actually do a voiceover. I sit down on my desk and have a microphone, and I watch the video and I cast it, is what you call it, or you sports cast it. Just like if you've ever watched the StarCraft 2 battle reports. The same idea is I just talk about it, I try to talk about strategies, I talk about what's going on, I do a recap at the end of each turn as it hits the flyover for the end of each turn, try to make it as exciting as possible. A lot of people have really enjoyed these types of battle reports because they really go deeper into the tactics, they allow you to see what's going on, and it is generally, they are a lot more entertaining. They do end up being a lot longer. Whereas the recap battle report was 8 to 10 minutes for an entire battle, we're finding that we're putting out 3 to 4 10-minute videos just to cover one battle. We haven't heard any complaints about the length, so I think that people will enjoy this. They enjoy the fact that there's more content. But here's the big disadvantage of those types of battle reports. Well, there's two, in fact. One is it slows down the game. A game that would normally take 2 hours will take about 3 hours, as you have to get used to recording everything. The second thing is that editing is a little more difficult. Now, it doesn't actually take too long. When I do a battle report, it takes me about 4 hours combined editing and voiceover to do all 4 parts. So that is actually relatively quick when you think about how many parts there are. But if you want to make a battle report, or your friend wants to make a battle report, you probably don't have quite as much time as we do because we do it for a living. So we do it here as our job, whereas you have to go out and have a job, and then you got to come home and do it as a hobby, which is why the recap one is a lot easier for the typical person. And the other disadvantage, I guess there's a third disadvantage of the Beat Mat Bat Rep style, that's what I'll call it, and that is that you don't really get the reactions of the people who are playing the game. Which brings me to a third type of battle report, one that we just recently did an Apocalypse game, and unfortunately I lost half the footage to it, and so I only posted the first 3 turns, and I apologize for that. I explained in the video what happened. But anyways, it was a kind of a new style of battle report that I wanted to try, and it's not really new. You look at it and think, well, that's not very innovative. Other people do something similar. And what it is kind of a mix of the recap and showing what's going on throughout the turn. And what we did is, while we were playing, I would record, now this is an Apocalypse game, so I couldn't record everything. I would record longer clips, like, okay, you're about to move 4 different groups of guys, so I'll just record and kind of move around, watching you move those 4 groups of guys, and then I'll stop. We didn't record everything. We only recorded, major movements, if there's a lot of things moving, and major combats that are happening, like if his main HQ was attacked by 100 Hormagaunts, which he was, we recorded that part of the battle. And it was with regular sound, no voiceover, so you got to hear what the people were saying, you got to hear the reactions, which is fun because you get to see the game as it's actually being played. You got to see us, at one point I rolled 138 dice all at once with a group of Hormagaunts charging in. And then at the end of each turn, we did a recap, not a voiceover recap, but actually just for, okay, this is what happened in the turn, as you may have already seen. So you kind of see what happens throughout the turn as you watch it, and it's almost like in a montage format. And then you get a recap at the end. Now, the advantage of this is you got to see a lot. The disadvantage was it's not quite as detailed in tactics as the Beat Map Bat Reps, but the other advantage is it was actually really quick to edit afterwards. It didn't slow down the game too much. Our game was Apocalypse, so it took a few hours anyways. And when I went to edit it, it actually kept the videos relatively shorter and allowed it to be really quick to edit because there were longer clips. Instead of having 400 small clips, we had, I think, 80 longer clips. Now, I did have to go through and edit those a bit more, speed up some of the movement and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it was a lot quicker to edit. And I didn't have to do a voiceover, so that was a step I was able to skip. So if you want to go, I'm going to post links to examples of each of these 3 types of battle reports. The recap battle report, the Beat Map Bat Rep style, where you see everything that's going on with a voiceover, kind of sports casting. And the third is kind of a hybrid that you can see with the Apocalypse game down there, where it was a montage of the turn and then a recap of each of the turns. So you kind of got to see the recap, so the video is faster to make, and you still got to see everything throughout. So I want to have some discussion here, some open discussion. I'll even post a link down there to a discussion in the forums. That way, if you have more to say than can be fit in a YouTube comment or a comment on our content site, you can be a lot more verbose. Because I really want to talk about this. I want to see what you think is the best way. First off, I want your opinion. What do you like best of the 3 types of battle reports? And just go ahead and say it. You can say, you can give us all the criticism you want. I really don't care. I know a lot of people like our videos, so if there's a bunch of people that don't, that's going to happen. It's going to happen as well. If you get any popularity, you're going to get a lot of people who don't like what you're doing, and that's perfectly fine. I can accept that. So go ahead and tell us which ones you like, what you like about our battle reports. Tell us what you'd like to see. Just keep in mind that we do have to kind of keep to a budget in terms of how much time we spend. And so try to suggest what you think, or if you have any experience making battle reports, we'd love to hear from you as well. And heck, post video responses to this on YouTube if you have a battle report that you want to post so people can look at it and critique it as well. I'm thinking of actually taking it a step further and creating a section of our website that's dedicated to battle reports of all nature, like just really trying to have a central place that you can come and just watch battle reports. Although there is kind of that right now. If you go to the homepage, go to categories and click on battle reports, you get that. But I mean something better organized than that, that's really designed for people who just love and are addicted to battle reports. So open discussion, tell us what you think, be fully honest. If you love it, tell us, but still tell us what you like to see. If you hate it, tell us, and tell us what you'd like to see so that we can improve. I'm always striving to improve our battle reports. If you ask Dave, he'll tell you that I'm always worried about our battle reports. I want to make them better, but at the same time I want to make them faster. That way I can make more of them without burning out after having so many games and everything else. So this is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. I hope that you're enjoying our videos. Feel free to leave all the criticism below that you like, and happy wargaming.